joined by Maleeha Shakoor, the founder of Maur Marketing and the host of the Dream More podcast. As a mother of two and a dynamic entrepreneur, she's built a thriving business connecting brands with top marketing talent while balancing the demands of motherhood. We'll dive deep into her journey, the challenges she's faced, and the insights she's gained along the way. So, Maleeha, how are you actually doing today?
I'm good, just acclimating to Malaysia, enjoying the weather and like the whole culture over here, and I'm doing well.
So, how is Malaysia like? I mean, how recently did you move to Malaysia?
So we're here for 3 months. We're testing it out.
Hmm.
We got here. Been about a week now.
Okay.
We got back to the States at the end of January after coming here for 2 weeks, and we loved it so much we actually booked a flight back out here to spend the next 90 days because that's how long you can stay here without a visa. So we're testing it out, and we're in Malacca.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like a smaller beach town on the southwest,
Hmm.
and it's amazing. It's
Much.
nice to be in a Muslim country during Ramadan. So
I bet. I mean, like, no worry about any haram food or anything like that. You can just go wherever you like, and it's like the environment is probably very kid friendly too, from that perspective, or family friendly, right?
yeah, I'm honestly, I lived in Pakistan growing up, but I feel like I'm having like consistent culture shock over here. Like I don't realize almost everyone around me is Muslim, so I'll be like, "Hi," and they're like, "Salam," and I'm like, "Oh, welcome, Salam. I'm so sorry," and they'll like, hug on my kids, and my kids are like, why is this person touching me?" Like
Hmm.
we're going through a lot of like culture shock, but honestly, it's really beautiful over here. Everyone's so friendly, so kind. Everyone's so generous. I have people just gifting me things and taking our pictures and asking for my contacts so that I don't feel alone here. And it's been wonderful. So
Subhanallah. So
yeah.
let's start with your I guess the early beginnings of your life. What was your childhood like? Were you always someone who thought about business and entrepreneurship or independence, or did entrepreneurship and that kind of stuff come later in life?
Yeah, so it's funny because the first, I think, entrepreneurial idea I had was with my two best friends in Pakistan. We were in fifth grade,
Hmm.
and we decided there was no place in Pakistan that had like good burgers. So we decided we're gonna make like a burger joint
Hmm.
together. And I like drew this little like I guess like a riff off Burger King's like Hamburglar, but he was just like a hamburger dude. And we decided we were going to make it and we were going to find a place off the beach. So when people were hanging out on the beach, they could eat burgers. And that's like my first memory of like an idea I had of starting my own business. But beyond that, I think my biggest goal in life always has just been someone who's really helpful to others. I
Hmm.
wanted to be like a pathologist or a vet or a teacher or like anybody who could like take care of others or like help others.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, I guess like as an adult, like that kind of evolved. I got into psychology. That's what I graduated with. And yeah, and then I had kids. So, it wasn't really possible to get my like master's or PhD because I wanted to focus on my kids and help
Hmm.
my kids. So that's kind of just my mindset my whole life.
So how do you? I guess we can maybe dive into it a little bit later because it's one of the later on questions. Where
Yeah.
how do you manage kids and entrepreneurship and that kind of stuff? But let's keep that for a little bit later because I want to go in sequence. What was the
Okay.
moment that you said that made you say basically you need to start your own business? Was it like a gradual realization or a single defining moment that you can recall?
Yeah. So, I guess it's a little bit of my personality too, but I don't like being micromanaged.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of something I came across at my job. I also had kids very young. So I was only 21 when I had my first son. So I had just gotten into, the corporate world. I was a recruiter. I got pregnant. I had a terrible pregnancy. And they made me quit because they said I had to be a team player. I couldn't just sit in a meeting room because I kept running out to go throw up. And that was disturbing my coworkers. So then I would book a meeting room and I would sit in the meeting room and my manager was like, you can't do that. But I couldn't be in the room either. Of either getting over throwing up and, just being just a disturbance to my coworkers because we were all in one small room, or I would have to quit. And I quit. Alhamdulillah, my husband was making enough to, sustain us at that point. We were just the two of us. But after I had my son, I was like, I'm going to go back into the workforce. And I got a job and we moved to Maryland. And I did that job for about 18 months and I was miserable. I was miserable because I had to leave my son every day. And
Mm-hmm.
I was very young when I had my son. So, and it was not planned. So, when I first got that job, I was like, I wasn't supposed to have a kid. I was going through postpartum. I was
Mm-hmm.
very depressed. And, it just wasn't how I thought my life was going to play out. So I got that job. And then as time went on and, the postpartum kind of like drifted away, I realized that like I was choosing a career that I didn't really feel passionate about. My
Mm-hmm.
manager was terrible to me. He was I don't I mean, you can cut this out if you
Mm-hmm.
want or don't. I don't know. But like he was like a Zionist essentially. So I was the only Muslim in the company. I was
Mm-hmm.
surrounded by like Jews. So it was like a very toxic work environment. And I just wasn't happy. And I was like, I'm choosing to go to work somewhere where I'm not happy when I can stay home and raise my child and, be with him. And I would cry every morning and he would be crying every morning. And my husband would be there like, oh my God, like just quit your job. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I didn't know what to do because I didn't know if I could quit and then take a break for years and then get back into the work industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to do that. As a woman, it's hard to get hired, period, because they know you're going to get pregnant. You're going to go through all these changes. They know these nuances exist. So it is harder to get a job. So, after
Mm-hmm.
I had Isa, I quit. And then I got pregnant and COVID happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is my opportunity. And we were getting those checks every month or every week. And I was like, I'm gonna take that money and I'm gonna start a business. And at that point, I didn't know what to start. I just wanted to do anything just to feel productive beyond
Mm-hmm.
motherhood. I didn't want my only identity to be motherhood. Um, candles. Like people who know me from childhood used to like make the joke that like I love perfumes, I love candles, and they were like, "You smell so good, it smells bad because you just smell so good all the time." So I was like, I'll start a candle business, and I had learned that Bath and Body Works, their candles weren't the best.
Mm-hmm.
The Sally, what was it? The smell that comes out of it's like I'm blanking right now, but basically what they
Like I
use
think
fragrances
parabens and like
wasn't
cup.
good for you. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make clean candles.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I went into that.
So wait, so what was the conclusion of that entire candle business? So you started doing the candle business. Did you actually make like the molds and everything and like actually made the candles and did you ever distribute or sell any of them?
No, so I had a two-bedroom apartment. I turned one bedroom into my candle making room.
Mm-hmm.
Isa would, be sitting in the corner with all of his toys, and I'd be heating up candle wax and mixing the fragrance oils and be pouring the candles, and then I would print out the labels and put them on the candles, and then I would sell them. So it was all just me, and it was amazing. And I think I would have done it for a very long time, but everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
My father-in-law passed at that point, and we had to move back to Atlanta overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a year of hell, honestly. Like there was just so much going on. We were grieving like the most amazing person on earth, truly. And, we were living with my mother-in-law and we were just handling all of that. And it wasn't working. It just wasn't working. And then at that point, both my kids were reaching an age where it was starting to feel like if I was heating up this candle wax, it has to heat up to like very, very hot temperatures.
Mm-hmm.
So if the kids ever touched it or anything,
It would
it
hurt
would be
them.
a third degree burn
Mm-hmm.
immediately. So at that point, I was like, it's just I'm trying and it's not working, and I'm trying and it's not working. So, maybe I'll just take a pause and see what happens. And then, I just realized I didn't want to do a physical product I was making because again, it was just taking away that time I had for my son.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really know that would be the case until I was actually doing it. And
Mm-hmm.
then once I was doing it, that realization came. So
So then,
Maybe I'll do it one day. Maybe I'll have somebody make it for me instead this
I
time.
mean,
But at this point, that's
I
all I
mean,
can do.
the way I would do it if I was gonna be in your shoes and do it, maybe private label, right? Or
Yeah.
go to a co-packer and say, hey, I want this, this, and this inside the product, and just make it for me. And then that way, distribution, that the manufacturing piece is easy, but then distribution becomes a troublesome problem, right? How do I get it to enough
Yeah.
stores with the minimum order quantities, where then I can actually move in a volume, and that's hard.
Yeah.
Getting
Yeah.
educating people about your product, yeah, yeah. So. All right. So then, so after this business, after the candle business, what was the candle business called, by the way?
It was called Alimaj, which was backwards for Jamila, which means beautiful.
Okay.
So I have this thing where I like just making weird names. So that was the thought process behind that.
All right. So then, after this business, is that when you started Maur Marketing, or what was the next idea?
Yeah, so the next idea, I'm just a girl to do a clothing business, I was like, someone will handle the building of the product. They can sew it, they can pack it, they can send it to me, and then all I have to handle is shipping and handling. So I did that. We started with those, and I still do that actually. We've white labeled it, so we distribute it to small, modest clothing stores, or
Mm,
we have a place in Pakistan, we have a place in UAE that sells it on our behalf, and we just get a cut of it. And then we also do ihrams,
mm-hmm.
and we partner with Umrah groups and Hajj groups, and they'll buy it from us, and then they'll give it to their people who are going on those pilgrimages. And then, I thought about maybe doing modest wear for girls
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a girl.
Of course.
But that didn't seem, that market's pretty saturated at this point, and I don't think I was just hitting imposter syndrome, honestly.
Mm.
So we've just kept it at the male
Dem-
clothing at this point because that is not as saturated, and we do have a really ready market to, be purchasing that stuff. So that exists. That's such on the side, but it's been white labeled at this point. So
mm. So then,
yeah,
after this next idea, then was it more marketing?
yeah, and yeah. My corporate background is marketing.
Got it.
I did recruiting and then I did marketing, and
Mm-hmm.
I love marketing. And it's funny because throughout all of this, I was just freelancing for friends.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever they would need me, I would just do it, and I would do it for free and on their behalf. And it was just something I loved doing. And then at one point, I was like, I should just turn this into like an actual legitimate business. And instead of me doing it, I want to be able to connect other marketers and freelancers who are looking for work and connect them with these businesses that are reaching out to me because I don't want to be doing it myself anymore. I have kids, I homeschool,
Mm-hmm.
we're traveling, I'm busy. But I want, again, going back to like what my pure goal in life is to be someone who's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like through marketing I could actually accomplish that finally. So that's where that came from.
Got it. That's very interesting. I mean, basically, you went through like what you were doing before Mar, and then you didn't always see yourself in marketing, but you had the threads of it, right? And then eventually you helped out your own friends, and then from there you went like, okay, wait, I can establish this business. Um, so when you first established the business, what was the vision, and what looking back now, has that vision changed? Was it to hit a certain dollar threshold or help a certain number of people? What was the motive or vision for the business?
Yeah, there's so many people who call themselves marketers but don't actually have that skill, right? Like
Mm,
anybody can call themselves a marketer. There's no like prerequisites or anything you really need to show to be able to call yourself that. And then there's these people who've actually, really done the work and really studied it and are struggling to find work. And I knew a few of these people. So I was like, there's these businesses that are coming to me asking me for these services and I don't have these skills. I just have, ads. That's what I'm known for is paid ads. And they're coming from to me for SEO or for UX design. And I know people who are very well qualified for this. Why don't I just connect these people, but then kind of make a cut off of it
yeah, of course.
essentially and turn it into an actual business? So more is kind of like a market match is businesses will come, let me know what kind of skills they're looking for, what kind of project they have, like the scale of what they're looking for. And then I've partnered with marketers and freelancers and agencies even across the world. I have people in Karachi, I have people in Saudi, I have people in Egypt,
Hmm.
who are very well qualified and just need someone to advocate for them and help them find a job. So that's kind of basically all I have. I don't have a dollar amount I'm trying to reach for. I'm not interested, I'm not looking to be the richest, most successful, biggest person in the world. I just want to be someone who can be a channel of goodness and help
Hmm.
to others. And if, wealth accumulates through that, alhamdulillah. If it doesn't, alhamdulillah. So,
It's so interesting because I mean, even I have a similar philosophy in terms of my businesses and things that I do, right? My goal is always to help other Muslim businesses and help them advertise them through the pod, or even blow it out on Instagram or wherever else I can. Hey, go support this Muslim business, because at the end of the day, if we don't support the Muslim Ummah, it becomes that we're hurting ourselves, right? And
yeah.
if we can reverse that trend, especially post October 7th, right? Because we were supporting
Yeah.
any and all kinds of brands left and right as the Muslim Ummah at large, and even to this day, I mean, after the ceasefire, even though we still see so much, bloodshed and other things happening in Gaza still, even during Ramadan, which is even crazier to me believe, right? But it's it's an opportunity for our generation and the generations that come after to then get our standard back up to here, where the Prophet ﷺ used to
Yeah.
do business, right? Um, so many people typically, this leads me into my next question, which many people struggle to take the leap to jump into full-time entrepreneurship. In your case, it seems like it was a gradual step. Like you did a little bit more, a little bit more, and then you took on a bigger workload, and then eventually it became the thing. Um, so what's
Mhm.
your recommendation? Was that, I mean, or what was that transition like for you? Was it difficult, especially with the kids and everything? And how long did it take you to fully like transition into like actually feeling comfortable in the business itself?
Yeah. So, one thing that I've had to learn the hard way is to stop caring about people's opinions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm extremely empathic. I care a lot about not random people's opinions, but the people I love's
Mm-hmm.
opinion and respect opinions. And, you know, I've had to come to the realization that they have your best interest at heart, but they don't know what's best for you.
Mm-hmm.
So they might be telling you to, give up on this dream that, it's not feasible, it's not possible, it's something that's not going to happen. And before I used to take that and believe it. And through time and through experience, once you start achieving that success, and it is little by little and it is slow,
Mm-hmm.
but once you start achieving that and you start realizing that, hey, like that guy doesn't know as much as I know,
Mm-hmm.
and he's doing way better than I'm doing. So it can't be that hard to get this done. So it's just a matter of, really believing in yourself
Mm-hmm.
first, truly having that confidence within yourself to know that you're capable,
Mm-hmm.
and then working whenever you can to make it happen. I have two kids, I homeschool them. We're trying to do hijra, inshallah. We've made that intention. So we're testing out all these random countries and we're traveling with them. And people think we're selfish and we're foolish and we're taking away, that school experience from our kids and that American dream from our children. And, I am selfish because I choose to spend my nights, working on the business instead of, I don't know, doing anything else
Mm-hmm.
that ordinary people do. And, it's just about taking the time, whether that's 5 minutes, whether that's 2 hours, whether that's 10 hours, whatever time you have, and to dedicate it and it not take away from what not be an overnight success. It might not be a 1 year success. It might take you 10 years to reach that point. But if it's something you truly believe in, don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Totally agree.
So
Totally
yeah,
agree.
that's just my thought.
So did you have any fears when you were starting out this business, and how did you push through them? Because you mentioned briefly before that you felt like you had a bit of imposter syndrome, at least with a candle business. I don't know about this particular business, but did you have any fears or doubts?
Yeah, I'm talking to tech company owners who are using jargon that I've literally never heard of in my life. And during our meetings, I'll be on my phone acting like I'm taking notes, and I'm chat GPTing it or Googling it and seeing what they're talking about, because I don't know. But you know, everything in life is a learning process. And I'm at a point in my life where I know that not anybody knows everything. And we're in a time where it's very accessible to learn these things.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as I know I'll be able to learn it, I'm okay. So I'm at that point in my life, like imposter syndrome hits me here and there,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm at a point where I'm able to just like accept it and be like, okay, that's okay. You don't know
Mm-hmm.
everything. You'll learn it. And then I just like move on. So
It's so strange because like I guess maybe I'm wired a little bit differently, but I don't really feel imposter syndrome in anything that I do. It's strange. It's because I do enough homework I just do enough homework where it's like, oh wow, okay, I understand this business, I understand the model, I see how this works. Let me go test it. And it's not like a sequence of like imposter syndrome, like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. Or like, should I be doing this? Should I? And the anxiety,
yeah.
like I've never really had that, or maybe I did when I was younger, but like
Me.
I'm lucky in that.
Like a little anxiety bubble. That's who I am. So, I mean, I think it really depends on your personality too and how you were raised. I
Mm,
mean, also just being a girl and being a
yeah,
busy girl, we're just like always, I guess we're brought up in a way that's like, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't
yeah.
know what you're talking about. And even today, like when I was in Dubai for the STEP conference, I had men coming up to me like, oh, you're just like this little girl. You don't know anything. And it's like,
It's like,
actually, no, I do.
yeah.
And it surprises them because they expect you to just power at this point. And
Mm,
it's like, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. So
mm.
I don't know. I don't know if it's my age that I'm just getting older and I've
I think
reached a
I
certain
think you have the wisdom of experience here.
Huh?
I think it's the wisdom of the experience that you've had in life, right? Because without that, it's like you can smell the BS a mile away, right? So it's like it's a little bit different. You've had experiences which allow you to now then filter the BS out and say, okay, I know exactly what I'm talking about, right? And then that confidence then projects in the business world, right?
Yeah, yeah. I grew up, my dad is a businessman, he's an entrepreneur. So I grew up seeing that.
Mm,
But I think it just seeing it wasn't enough for me to like feel that confidence. But now that I've gone through enough businesses and failures
mm,
to know not it's not going to kill me. It's not going to, take away anything from my life other than the fact that I know that it didn't work out. And, the only regret I might have is that maybe I should have put more into a business.
mm,
Everything, I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason,
mm,
and it just wasn't meant to work out, or it just wasn't in my nasiib. And I'm at a
mm.
point where maybe this will work out. Just me one second. Yes, baby, you're hungry, go get chips. Go get chips. Okay. Okay, can you give me a little while and then I'll make you something? No. All right.
Hey, I'll keep that in the pod. It'll make it more real. This is like, you know what? A lot of people don't realize, like, you know what? Like, for example, my mom, she was an entrepreneur of our household. She would sell, DC wedding clothes. So she was in the fashion industry. So she would make, altar wedding clothes or desi kapde, and she would actually sell them. She would actually make me hold them up. So then that way people could see what it looks like. I mean, like, you have these little kind of like experiences throughout life. It's like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but it's like, but alhamdulillah, in that respect, I was lucky. And my mom, I remember when I was a baby, she would have guests come over, and I would just hide behind her leg, like just peering out, like So it's like these kind of memories just come to the mind, especially when you just interacted with your child. So alhamdulillah, it's like it's a blessing because you realize what you're actually doing business for. You're doing it for yourself and for them, right? It's for the
Yeah.
income, it's for the freedom of time, it's for the optionality of your own time, which some people don't even think about, right? Some people say, I just want to focus on the money, but that's usually how they fail, right? Because the intention was wrong. Um,
Yeah.
so just out of curiosity for Maur Marketing, how did you acquire your first big client? Like I would say maybe a 4 or 5 figure deal.
Yeah. So my first client was within my network. I
Mm-hmm.
started marketing on LinkedIn. I
Mm-hmm.
started, DMing people, literally my friends. I'm friend, one thing I'm going to boast a little bit over here, but I know a lot of people. And that's one thing I'm very good at is getting to know people and befriending them and then keeping that relation strong. So when it came to more marketing, I have a lot of influencer friends. I have a lot of business owner friends. I have a lot of, people who are in these industries who know people.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just, I was like, I'm going to really humble myself and I'm going to pitch to literally everyone I know that I know can give me an opportunity. And that's what I did. And
Mm-hmm.
then I got 2 clients within my first month. So it worked out.
Oh,
And they're still with me.
mm-hmm.
So I personally work on these two, but the other clients I've handed off to my freelancers. But those two are for me.
So what was your pitch like? Give me an example. And how long ago was this? Was this like 3 years ago, at the beginning of COVID, or like was it later on? Like what was this pitch like?
Yeah, so I started more literally 6, 7 months ago now. So it's brand new. It's brand
Mm-hmm.
spanking new. And I was like, as you evolve, as you grow, you realize things are important to you. And last year I was a teacher just to kind of understand the education world. And I was at the same Islamic school my kids were going to. And I kind of witnessed how the education system works, at least in that school.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like it. I didn't like that it took me 20 minutes to hush these kids down, just teach them for 15 minutes, and then we have to move on.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like that, they had to sit in a room with no windows for hours on end
Mm-hmm.
and they couldn't move and they couldn't talk and they had to raise their hand to talk. And there's so many like restrictions. And I came to the realization that, I have these skills. My kids are young, maybe not in the future, but right now I want to homeschool them. And to be able to do that, I needed to have freedom of time. And me and Amin have also, my husband,
Mm-hmm.
I think you know,
Yeah.
me and Amin also decided that, we want to make the intention to do hijra. And especially after October 7th, that was truly the marker for us to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about it for years, but once October 7th happened, we were like, enough is enough. We're just going to have to figure it out and,
Mm-hmm.
make it work. And we made the intention. And part of that was how are we going to make money while being abroad?
Mm-hmm.
We can move, but we still need cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
And, my husband has a corporate career, but it's bound to the US borders. So we were like, okay, how are we going to make this work? And he's working a typical 9 to 5. He was at a big four, and, that really sucks the life out of you. So he was working 12, 13 hours a day, doesn't have enough time to do a business. And then I had enough time to do it. And I had friends coming to me with the idea of, hey, I'm looking for somebody to do SEO for my business, or hey, I'm looking for a UX designer. You were in the marketing world, you know someone. And it just clicked one day. I was like, actually, the idea came from a meme. And he was like, you are so good at marketing. Connect them and then make a cut off of it. And then we'll see. We'll see if it works and we'll see if it makes anything. And I was like, I don't know if that's going to work. I had my fears, I had my imposter syndrome. And it was truly because of him and his like full belief in me that made me go, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it and I'm gonna try it. And it worked. And I just DM'd literally all my influencer friends in the GCC. I know that, UAE and Qatar and all of these, Middle Eastern countries are really pushing for marketing and
Mm-hmm.
trying to up that in their region. And, that's kind of where we were like, maybe we want to move there. So it just makes sense to like reach out to these people and see if something happens. And it did. And I truly believe, like, if it wasn't for me truly like pushing me and being like, just do it and try it and see. And like, what's the harm? Like, they'll say no, So I was like, okay. And it just worked.
So, that's so amazing. So, just to come back to the question that was originally asked, which was like, when you would reach out to these people, like, what would you message them? Like, would you say, "Hey, my name is Maleeha. I'm running More Marketing." Like, what's the message that you're delivering to them? How are you communicating with them?
They like knew me and I'd be like, hey, how's it going? And I would just like strike up a conversation and they'd be like, good. And I'm like, I see you're doing this. How's it going? Do you need any help with marketing?
Mm,
And if they would say yes, I'd be like, I know these people. I know all of these people and they'll all work remote and you don't have to worry about, their W-2 or 1099 or any of that, annoying work that you might have to worry about, paperwork. I'll handle all of that. I'll be the recruiter and you just tell me what skills you need and I'll find a guy for you. And they trusted me and that was
yeah.
it. It wasn't like a formal type pitch. It wasn't anything other than just like, hey, how's it going? I see you. Do you see me?
Mhm.
Let's do something. And that was it.
Got it. Okay. It's very interesting because, like, in
Yeah, I
some.
think
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I think authenticness and kind of just being like, I see you as a person and you're my friend. And, if you need help, I'm here for you. I really think that kind of helped
Mm,
because it didn't feel like so salesy and it
mm,
didn't feel like I was trying to take advantage of
mm.
them. It was more so like,
Like, I'm
do
providing
you
you.
need help?
You're basically
Yeah,
providing a solution.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. It's sort of like you're just providing them a solution to the problem, and that's essentially what you did. You're solving a pain point for them, and this is whether it's reasonable cost or not, regardless of that price point. You're basically solving a problem for them, and ultimately, that's how what most businesses do.
Yeah, yeah, and that's how, and the way when it came to money, they'd be like, I can't afford it or
Mm,
whatever, and I'd be like, tell me what your budget is. If it's $100, I'll find someone who will do it for $100. You might not get the level of work that you're looking for,
mhm,
but if it helps you even just a little bit, and then you can slowly work your way up, and then increase your budget, then let's do it. Nothing is too small for like what you need, and I think that really worked. So.
mhm. So, just out of, we alluded to this a little bit earlier. Obviously, you're not just running a business, but you're a mother of two. How do you juggle the demands of both entrepreneurship and being present for your family? Because I know that's very, very tough for some. For some, it's easy. I don't know. I mean, like, I know for me, I don't have any kids yet, but I mean, just juggling, a spouse or a family member or somebody else like that, it makes it even more difficult.
Yeah. So, I think what really helped was just gradually growing with these other businesses and going from my candle business took a lot of my time. So I learned early on the importance of having a schedule. And I think I've just implemented that as time has gone
Mm,
on and I've just adjusted that schedule for
mm,
what we need. I wake up early. I, will do homeschooling first thing in the morning. Then I have, they'll be playing outside. And during that time, I'll tell them, 30 minutes, you do not talk to me. And during that 30 minutes, I really deep work and I
mm,
get as much as I can done. And then after that 30 minutes, I have to like, cut it off of my mind and then be present because it's really easy to just like keep thinking about what you need to be doing
mm,
and like, the nuances of the business. And it's taken time and practice, but I've learned that, if you don't completely focus on what you're doing, then, half assing this and half assing that nothing works then, so you've got to put your all into everything that you do. So I've compartmentalized everything, and that seems to be working
Oh.
so far. So yeah.
So, just out of curiosity, what advice would you give to other moms who are thinking about starting their own businesses but feel overwhelmed?
you know Create a schedule. That's like my first thing. Figure out where, that time that you would typically be spending scrolling
Hmm.
or like, watching a show or something. I barely watch TV anymore. Like barely.
Hmm.
I maybe will watch one episode a month now, and it's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice that I'm willingly taking for the success of this business. And, once it reaches a point, I know that, I'll have more time for these things that, I've decided to sacrifice. So you've really got to like hone in on what you're willing to let go because you can't do it all. You
Hmm.
know, I I don't cook extravagant meals. We do, I'll for a start, I'll make one dish. We'll have one app and we'll have one dish and that's it. Like I'm not making those 10, 20 dishes that my mom did when I was little. There's
Hmm.
not something different for lunch and dinner. It's like you have to choose and you have to like see what will work. My husband doesn't care. Other husbands might care about that. So then that might not be something that you can, simplify. You've got to streamline as much of your life as you can to a point where you can fit this in. So, I don't scroll, I don't watch TV, and that time has been traded for working on the business. So
Do you feel like you're missing out in the world, like just of entertainment and like spending more time with your kids? I'm just curious. It's just a thought that came in my
no,
mind.
that's yeah. No, you're fine. That is something I will not sacrifice. So time with my children, you know, that's something I will not sacrifice. So I'll homeschool the kids, I'll spend time with them. I go out with them at night or in the day or whenever I need to. And I'll do those things with my kids. And I'm fully 100% present. But the time, if they're playing and they're like not bothering me, and that time would have been spent scrolling on Instagram or TikTok, that's the time I'm working. That's the time that's been traded. Not time with my kids, not time with my husband, but like time I would be doing. Like I don't hang out with people anymore. You would say, it depends on the person. I don't feel like I'm missing out. I know I fully believe in what I'm doing. I truly enjoy what I do. So I don't feel like I'm missing out anymore. And the people that matter to me most are my family. And I'm not, trading time out for that. So I don't feel like I'm missing out. So I'm okay.
That's
I'm
awesome.
good.
So you've worked with a few brands. What's the biggest mistake you see businesses make when it comes to marketing in general?
um,
Is it under budget
not
or like, or dictating terms, right?
Yeah, no, it's marketing is really just a lot of testing.
Mm,
You don't really know what's going to work as a
yeah.
marketer. Your brand exists. You might have a voice of the brand that might stay consistent, but there are times in the business where you do need to experiment
Mhm.
and you need to see that maybe something that's totally out of pocket will work. And it'll work so well that, it takes your business from here to here without you even thinking, like you think it might have bombed, but like it will explode. And it's very hard for business owners, especially smaller business owners, to really put that trust in their marketers. They want to play it safe. They're putting this money in. They know what works already. It's like this, like, standard, boring, whatever marketing. And they don't want to try anything new. And I think that really holds back a lot of businesses, like the possibility of their growth.
See, one of the
So
things that comes to my mind is if they don't experiment, they don't know what actually will work. And then therefore they won't be able to have that exponential growth that they're desiring from marketing, right? And I mean, depending on the strategy, right? If it's an SEO strategy, obviously the timeline is much longer. It's going to be, somewhere between 90 to even up to a year. 90.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
6
So
months to a year
yeah. So I mean, like, It takes a lot of time. And then when you take a look at PPC ads, or for example, or maybe even Google ads, I'm sorry, Google programmatic ads, or even Facebook, Instagram ads, depending on what kind of product or service you're offering, each one of those have so much nuance within them that it makes it, I mean, marketing is a science. It's an art and a science combined. And one of the things that we did with at least the Diary of a Muslim Entrepreneur was when we were testing out our thumbnails, we would go through almost about 20 to 40 different tests just to see what would
Yeah.
work and what kind of verbiage and language actually resonated with the people who were watching it in the beginning stages. And then we're retesting almost every quarter. It's like, oh, did this
Yeah.
work? Did this not work? Did this not work? How did? And the thing is that the other thing is people's tastes and understanding change with time. So when you have this fluidity of the overall culture, right? And then you're trying to appeal to those people who are also so fluid. It's so interesting to think like this is, I mean, if marketing is done the right way, it can truly resonate with a group of people, whether it's, Gen Z, millennial, etc., or boomers. It's so interesting to see how each group reacts. But this leads me to my next question, which is what's one of the most creative or impactful campaigns that you've seen that have really stuck with you?
Good question. Huda Beauty,
Mm-hmm.
when she really took a stance on supporting Palestine, a lot of people were like, this is the end for her,
Mm-hmm.
like this is it. She is going to get cut out of Sephora. She's going to get, ousted from the American
Mm-hmm.
market. And she grew. She like multiplied. She exploded really.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of people were like, that was a mistake. And it goes back to truly like, there are certain things you can't sacrifice. And one of those things is your beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one, not it. I wouldn't say that's like a campaign, but it was just like, there is strategy behind
Mm-hmm.
everything. So there is strategy behind what she did.
Mm-hmm.
And it really paid off for her. Now, people, Muslims especially, are like die hard for her, myself included.
Mm-hmm.
After October 7th, I stopped buying a lot of things, supporting a lot of businesses. And Huda is one of those people that it was so clear because of her verbiage and her messages that I didn't even have to you had to Google and see if this business supports or is supports Palestine. I didn't have to do that. I knew. So like all of my products started just being Huda Beauty because it was almost thoughtless.
Mm-hmm. It's because
Like I didn't have to think. I just knew because
it's
of her marketing strategy. So
not just her marketing strategy. You trusted her because she stood up for something that was right, right? Right. And it's sort of like, okay, what I mean, even though I mean Gary Vee mentions it, is like what's right is right, and it'll stay true through the test of time. So if you do the right thing, it will always come back to you tenfold in some way, shape, or form. And in this exact instance, that's exactly what did happen, because so much of the American diaspora actually identifies with the plight of the Palestinians, strangely enough. And that's one of the reasons why America, being one of the biggest markets for Huda Beauty, is strangely, I mean, like, because Sephora was one of their biggest distribution partners. Actually, that's how they grew. So it's like you can't, and Sephora strangely didn't even drop them. So it's like, that's even crazier to believe.
knew it was going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody was smart in that. So yeah,
Oh.
it was really refreshing to see.
Hmm.
So
All right. So let's see. Have you ever did a marketing campaign that simply just flopped or didn't do good? And then how did you solve that?
yes, many. you know, again, it's just about a matter of testing. And sometimes when something doesn't work, your clients get really afraid and kind of, get cold feet. So I've experienced that where, they'll be like, what, let's just stop everything and just not continue. And I would have to, fight to have them continue and continue testing. But it's a lot of experimenting. You don't know your audience until you test. uh, you have an inkling. You get those just
Hmm.
insights.
Yeah.
So you know who your audience is, you know the age, but you don't know truly, like you said, everyone is so fluid. Trends are fluid. Trends are so quick now. By the time marketing catches up, we're on to the next. And then your audience, they're growing, they're shifting, their ideas are changing because of these trends, because of the news, because of the world. So it's very hard to, truly encapsulate who they are without testing. So I've, especially Google ads, they're harder. So I've hit some bumps in the road with that, and it it hasn't worked out with a couple clients, not because of the campaign, but more so because they just get cold feet and don't want to move on. So, I've been able to, in the beginning, I would just, take the no and be like, you know what, I guess that's it. Now, I kind of fight a little bit. I fight back and I'm like, no, I think if we do this and this, and I think what helps a lot of the time is explaining your thought process and really like pitching consistently and constantly increases that trust with your client. But yeah, I don't really do it much of it anymore, just because now most of my job now is just connecting those marketing agents with the businesses. So you'd have to ask them now.
Yeah, so you're the queen marketing recruiter.
Basically, basically.
Oh,
I came from a
no.
together.
Hey, hey, alhamdulillah, and that's also a unique place to be, right? Because like in my field, I was in corporate America as well. I mean, the thing that I really loved was marketing and finance. Those are the two things I don't know why when they meshed together, I would just love and just play around with left and right. Hello.
I totally lost you. Sorry.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. So I was just
Yeah.
yeah. So when I was in, I mean, I had a heavily corporate finance related background, but my interest was always in like finance and in corporate finance and marketing. Actually, I wanted to combine the two somehow, and so because like normally an analytical mind doesn't go to the creative stuff, right?
Yeah.
And somehow I don't know why I was blessed in this regard. Like when I was a kid, I would always draw cars and I was extremely creative as a child, and then when I got older it was like, okay, I got to go get a job and be analytical, and like I guess that resourcefulness and that interest and that desire to do creative things with my corporate background made me want to go in the direction of Dome and then manage the business actually more efficiently as a result of it, because it's like, oh, I can pull from this industry, I can pull from this industry, let's see how well that meshes now. And it was also going and attending many conferences and other lectures and things like that, like how do I integrate Islam into my business. So this leads me into my next question, which is how do you integrate Islam into your own business? And do you actively think about it while you're implementing new strategies and ideas in your business itself too?
Yeah. Just give me 1 second. Sorry, my kid. Come here, Yusuf. Come here. Come here. Monkey. You're hungry. Okay. Can you get ice cream from the freezer? Can you get some? Okay, go get Yusuf to get it for you. Okay, can I say hi?
Hi, Yusuf.
This is Yusuf, my little one. He's my COVID baby.
Mashallah.
Okay? He does not care.
Hey, I'm still gonna keep it in the pot. Yeah, yeah. How do you implement Islam into your business? Do you think about it throughout the thought process of like whether it's hiring, firing, implementing new strategies and things like that?
Yeah, yeah. So I think you said there's no internet, so you're just gonna have to deal with it. Um, sorry, I'm just gonna let the noise finish. I'm so sorry. There's no internet, Mama. You're gonna have to just play something, okay? Close the door, and then now don't let Yusuf come out, okay? I'm almost done, okay? Okay. So So implementing Islam, that's been one of the core values of the business.
Mm,
When I first started, pitching to brands and finding marketers, the first people that I was looking into were Muslims, Muslim owned brands,
mhm,
Muslim marketing agents. I feel like we're in a world where everybody, like, we need to start looking out for each other.
mhm,
um, there's so many resources out there, and there's so many Muslims who are so talented and just get overlooked because we don't have the resources to really uplift us
mhm.
and kind of advocate for us. So that was, the first thing that I really made sure I did. So I want to say 99% of our clients are Muslim
Subhanallah.
and 95% of our agents are Muslim. So that's really nice. I also wanted to cater more to the Arab world,
Hmm.
just because they're really pushing marketing and their budgets are higher. I feel like the American market is pretty saturated right now. And I also feel like Muslims understand the nuances of culture
Mhm,
in the Middle East. So I felt like it would just be a natural match, for Ramadan, for,
mhm,
what's taboo, what's not in Muslim culture and Islamic culture. So that was kind of how it started. When it comes to our how we profit off of the business, I'm very transparent. I don't want anybody to feel like, I'm taking advantage of them,
mhm,
or that, there's money coming, like I'm making money in a way that won't benefit them. So
mhm,
I tell them straight off the bat how much I'm making off of them, what the up market is, and like how I'm making the money. And if they feel comfortable with that, then we move forward. So that's that portion of it. And then when it comes to hiring and firing, luckily I've only had to fire one marketing freelancer or agent, and that was because he wasn't doing any work. And firing is always hard.
mhm.
I got experience in that when I was a recruiter. It's, my hand used to shake on the phone when I would be doing it. They could hear the tremble of my voice. It's not easy.
Mhm.
But before doing that, I want to make sure that they are fully in the know of the entire process of why that's happening and how that's happening and when that's happening. So if the client is unhappy, the first thing I do is I'll go up to the Asian and I'll be like, this is what's happening. You need to, whatever. I'll give their points. And then I really like let them know now it's in your hands. Like if you want this to work, then you're gonna put in the work and you're gonna make those changes. And if you don't, then this is the consequence of this. So
Mm,
there's full clarity in everything that I do. I believe in that strongly because I've worked in businesses where everything is so hush hush or everything is so behind the scenes that you're not in the know. And I never liked feeling like that,
mhm,
especially like in my husband's career when layoffs are happening. You don't know when that's coming. You don't know if you're next. And there's all these people who are getting laid off the week of Christmas. So there's all these, like, people, Christians and whatnot, and this is their time and now they're jobless. I never want to put people in wrong people in that sense.
mhm,
So I try to be clear in every step of everything that we do. And communication is key for our
mhm.
business. So honest communication. So I think that's where Islam plays a big part. And then just kind of really marketing to Muslim companies. I really just want to be the advocate for them. There's so
Mhm.
many Muslim small businesses. There's so many Muslim freelancers and marketing agencies out there that are so, so talented, and they just don't have the
Yeah.
advocate. So I want to be that resource for them.
So, where did the name for more marketing actually come from?
So more marketing, it sounds, is more marketing. You can never have too much marketing. And whatever you're looking for, if you're looking for more SEO or more UX or more digital, whatever it is, we're there for you.
Mhm.
But the way it's spelled is, or in Urdu is, if it's written in English, it's transliteration. It's AUR, and or in some instances means more.
More.
So I just love coming up with like funky names. And when I realized or and more rhyme, I was like, why not just mesh the two? It'll, set me apart. When people look at the name, it's hard to forget. And it'll just, it's like a little inside joke for me. And, it sounds as it does. It's more
Well,
marketing. So
well, now the inside joke is for the whole world now at this point.
yeah. It's a little
All right. So in the whole journey so far in entrepreneurship, what's been the hardest moment that you've ever had to deal with from an entrepreneurial standpoint, not a motherly standpoint?
yeah, yeah. I want to say after moving to Malaysia, I want this to be like a permanent move. And if that happens, then, we're going to really have to scale more. And that's kind of, it's hard. Again, like when it comes to imposter syndrome, it's really easy to start doubting yourself.
Hmm.
And, it's scary that like we will have to fully rely on on the business. And will the money be enough? And I've had a couple clients since coming here. And it's funny because when we were, on the flight here, it's crazy because I like open up Instagram and the first thing that comes up is like a video and it's like when you make the intention for hijra and then you're actually doing it,
Hmm.
a lot of texts are going to come your way.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, so like, I'm mentally preparing. And then we get over here, and the first thing that happens is my husband's phone breaks. So he's not able to do his corporate 9 to 5. And I was like, okay, you know what? That's, the first test. And then the second test came where two of my clients out of nowhere just dropped and decided that they don't want to work with us anymore because times are hard, times are tough. The
Hmm.
first, thing that gets cut usually is marketing.
Yeah.
So they were like, we just can't do it anymore. And two of my clients decided to dip. And now I'm freaking out because I'm like, oh my God, like I'm crying. I'm like calling my mom. I'm like, I don't want to go back to America. And she's like, remember you told me like you're gonna be tested. And that's truly what's happening. I would say now is like probably the hardest time for more. It's just about really trusting Allah, trusting myself, trusting more in what we provide, and really pushing for it and trusting that Allah will provide. Like what we're doing is for God. And
Hmm.
yeah, those clients dropped me, but the next 2 days later, I had another client who signed with me, and he's paying exactly what I was
Hmm.
losing from them. So, truly just trusting God. So,
Alhamdulillah, that's so beautiful, mashallah.
yeah.
So what's next for more marketing? Any big plans or any major projects in the pipeline that we could learn about?
So more matches businesses with marketers using AI. We are finishing the back end process for that. So at this point in the business, businesses will come, I'll call them, I'll learn more about the business, and then I kind of manually
Mm-hmm.
match them. But now our market match system is about to be completed, the AI of it, and it's going to go live. So, that's really exciting for us. I won't have to be on the phone as much unless, clients want me to, which I'm
Mm-hmm.
totally happy to do. Um, but it'll be a lot more automated for them. For me, they'll have somebody instantaneously matched with them, so they won't have to worry about wasting time, wasting money on waiting for somebody to start marketing for them. So that's coming. And then yeah, just inshallah hoping to scale, find more clients.
So actually, would have been my next question, which is how marketing AI is evolving so quickly, right? But it seems like you're already on that train, trying to integrate that into your business in such a way that hey, you're already ahead of the curve. And this sort of reminds me of people or businesses back in the '90s where they're like, what's this internet thing? And they didn't get on the internet. And next thing you know, they're out of business because they're unable to be on the internet anymore. Or they didn't take advantage of that. Or like businesses in the 70s and 80s, they didn't take advantage of phones and fax systems, everything. So whenever they didn't adapt, they always fell to the wayside. And it's so great to hear that somebody is actually, integrating AI into their business in such a way that it actually helps them grow. And that's so amazing in itself. What's the ultimate legacy that you want to leave behind as an entrepreneur and as a leader and as a mom?
That I was able to help people in any capacity that I could. That is truly the only legacy I want to leave behind. That I was a helpful servant of Allah, that I was able to help other Muslims and their businesses, whether that is through the freelancer side or the business client side, that I was an advocate for good, and that, we didn't sacrifice our beliefs to help others. And yeah, leave it to my kids and then they can take it from there.
If you could go back and give your younger self a piece of advice before starting the journey, what would it be?
Stop listening to other people's opinions. Stop caring what they think. You're going to hold yourself back so much. You're going to let it take a toll on you. And that takes a toll on your family. Stop caring about what other people think. They might have your best interests at heart, but they don't know you and they don't know your situation.
I agree. I think that's one of the reasons why I leverage mentors or even paid coaches is like, hey, how you have applicable knowledge to my particular problem. Help me solve this, and then I'm going to go test it, right? And then I'll report back. It did work. It didn't work. I fucked up, etc.
Yeah. And not everybody's advice is going to fit you. Everyone is different. So you just got to see what works for you.
So let's say we're having a conversation 10 years from this moment in the time. Maur Marketing is probably doing deals in the 6-7 figure range, hopefully, inshallah. Do you see Maur Marketing getting to that point?
I do. I think there's a lot of possibilities. I think once, we hit that one big client, word of mouth will, set a flame, and then it's just a matter of scaling in a responsible way. But I really, truly think it's possible.
Inshallah. Well, Maleeha, it was such a pleasure to have you on the pod. Where can people find you online?
So my personal Instagram is Maleeha Shakoor. We also have Instagram for Maur Marketing. It's Maur Marketing. We're also hoping to start a series on YouTube about series of an entrepreneur on YouTube. So follow Maur Marketing there, and yeah.
Inshallah. So then what I'll do is I'll leave your contact information in the comment section down below or in the description. And then inshallah, if people want to reach out to you, they can reach out to you directly, and then hopefully facilitate another conversation where you can be helping another female entrepreneur. And it's so great to have you as the second female on the pod. Mashallah. I'm trying to get more. It's because I think your stories are very, very different from the men's. Ultimately, it's like, hey, if we just only have one side of the story, right? It's not complete, because a male won't have the same struggles a female will, and vice versa. And the circumstances of life, depending on where you are, they can be so fundamentally different. So it's so interesting and so amazing to hear stories such as yours, where you used to live in Atlanta, then you went to Maryland, came back to Atlanta, now Malaysia, and now that's mashallah. It's so beautiful to hear stories like these, because it's inspiring, it's encouraging, and I hope that this pod actually does the same thing for other future women who want to go into business, whether it's in the marketing space or in others.
Yeah. Don't be afraid. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.